Hey, this is S. Patrick Brooks from the Heavy Underground Farm Report. We tried to do a live show with Trillion Ton Beryllium Ships today, but I fucked that shit up. Sorry, guys. I do have the recording, though. I'm about to put it out. I talked to Jeremy and Carlin from Trillion Ton Beryllium Ships. We had a great conversation about their band and the scene, so we're going to get right to it. So, Trillion Ton Beryllium Ships. Yeah. Hey everybody, this is S. Patrick Brooks with a Heavy Underground Farm Report, and I'm super excited today. I have Trillion Ton Beryllium Ships. I have Jeremy and Carlin here today. This afternoon is sometime during the day. We're going to talk about their band, and I'm super excited. They just have a new album out this month. It's called The Mind Like Fire Unbound. It's really good. You guys are going to love checking it out. But hey, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to get right into the interview. So, Carla and Jeremy, thanks for being here, you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time. There's some people that probably don't know a lot about your band, so could we just start maybe with your history in music? And I mean, we don't have to go back to kindergarten or anything. I'm sure you played the recorder like the rest of us. But just some background on your band and how you guys all got to. And we are missing one member, so if you could talk about Dustin, right? Or Justin, I'm sorry, Justin.
Sure. So I guess I've been a lifelong guitar player and always played in local bands. Mostly started with punk rock and played bass in a really good metal band here in Lincoln called Dead Echoes. Just kind of, I think maybe around 2002, 2003 or something, I got a relapse sampler that had like Bongzilla on it, and it just kind of blew my mind, and so was always just dragging a amp into the basement and messing around with tuning down and just trying to play, try and rip off their riffs basically. So
That's cool. So that was Bongzilla really your intro into the music then?
well, I mean, as a kid I listened to a lot of Sabbath, and music wise I guess probably Slayer was maybe most formative sort of band in the early days for me, as far as what I loved or what I wanted to play eventually, but I'm probably not good enough to ever do that. But but anyway, so it was just kind of always in the back of my mind that I wanted to break away and start something different. And so we eventually did that in 2020 and started Trillion Tons. But not to put words in Carlin's mouth, but we went and saw High on Fire in 2008, maybe. It was right after Death Is This Communion came out.
Okay.
And I actually bought Matt Pike a shot at the bar.
Right on.
This is a great story, I think.
Yeah,
Anyway,
please.
so like we were just at the bar. So it was, who opened for him? I can't even remember.
It was Baroness.
Baroness was
nice.
opening, but
Like
then it
Red
was High
and
on
Blue
Fire.
era.
But I don't know who was before Baroness. I can't remember.
Either.
But anyway, so I saw him down at the end of the bar, and I told the bartender, I said, give that guy a shot no matter what he wants. And he got the most cheap rod gut shot. And then he came down and just talked to me for a long time, and was super nice. And so, but anyway, that kind of, I think, was maybe where Carlin sort of was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I want to get into doing this real heavy music. So
yeah, High on Fire was for sure my real entry point, I think, into appreciating metal. Before
Awesome.
that, I listened to, Pixies or whatever before Jeremy and I met, but I never got into anything super heavy until I was exposed to High on Fire, and it just like clicked, started a fire. I was like, this is amazing, and it got me kind of obsessed with drumming. I even took drum lessons for a while.
Who was drumming for High on Fire then?
they're the drummer that they had until what's his name from Big Business.
Well, that's okay. We'll
Yeah.
He's
somebody out there is
amazing.
like,
Actually, that drum set was for sale. I think they were trying to auction it off here just in the
I know
last
who you're
week or
talking about.
something.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
I
that
wish I
online
could remember
too.
his name.
Because I
He's
saw it and I was
so
like,
amazing.
that's the drum set. Like, I
Oh
saw
my
that drum set and
gosh.
was just like,
It's in all those videos and stuff. It's so great. It's just this white pearl drum set. It's so great. But anyway, so I guess in 2020 we just we found Justin through Craigslist.
Really?
Oh yeah.
he's still in Jeremy's phone as Craigslist Justin.
Yeah. So he posted this like very doom specific ad on musicians on Craigslist or whatever. And I finally emailed him and then talked with him on the phone. And I said, I don't think we're ready to do it yet. And I was kind of like, I don't know who this guy is. And then he called me a couple months later and I said, you know what, just come on over. Let's try it. And then ever since then, we've been practicing 2 times a week. And
So it
he's a
just
really good
clicked
guy.
right away. So
Yep,
did you know about his ability to do the vocals that he does when you met him?
No, I guess that kind of started on the last album. I had this chorus in I forget the name of the
Consensus
song
Trance.
on Consensus Trance where he goes cast iron Consensus Trance, and we just had him do it because I didn't really want to do it and I didn't feel like I could sing heavy enough. And then so then for this album I said we're going to use your talents all the time, so we just made him do a whole bunch more vocals on this album. So
I want to talk about that more later because the vocals are just are amazing and definitely not what I was expecting when I first listened to the band. So I got Carlin. So most of your influence, would you say, came from that '90s punk rock kind of scene, or did you have other stuff that you were down with when you were a kid?
Yeah, I think I listened to everything, and I grew up around music. I played piano and flute and stuff as a kid, so I learned how to read music. And my dad sings barbershop. Like, he was always walking around the house singing. Like, it just was throughout every part of my life, pretty much. So I listened to a lot of classic rock and things like that too.
Right on.
Just wasn't really exposed to a ton of metal until I met Jeremy. At the time, he was playing in a hardcore band, and so I was like, well, I need to start checking out some heavier stuff. And now I listen to everything. My gym music is mostly thrash or like Pig Destroyer. So
That's
the
that's
full
awesome.
spectrum. Yeah.
That's awesome. Jeremy, you talked about you kind of said something that I thought was interesting. You feeling like you maybe weren't technical enough to play thrash. I mean, you sound like a really great guitar player. Do you think it just take, I remember Monolord talking about how it took a special skill to play slow. Do you feel like that you have a talent in that way that maybe a lot of other guitar players don't have?
No, I think maybe just being in bands for so long, I have okay timing, and Justin and I have played together enough that we can kind of predict that real slow. Because this whole album, we recorded it to a click because we just wanted it to have that real pro sound.
Sounds
But
amazing.
live, we really have to listen to Justin a lot more closely because he varies the speed, and especially with the slow stuff, you have to literally watch him hit the cymbal a lot of times. So
Okay.
I don't, people always say that it's a skill to play real slow, and yes, not technically, but timing wise, it's important, I think. But
That's cool.
I don't pretend that I'm good at it, but
you are good at it.
I hope that, I think it's slower. Slower is tougher because time signatures sort of expand, and you're not hitting like something over and over and over in the same kind of rhythm or whatever. That rhythm is so much broader. And so really, if you broke it down like a time signature, it might not be 4/4. It might be, it kind of You know what I mean? Like the time
I
signatures
like,
have a bit of
man,
a
I love Rush. I know exactly what
yeah,
you
we're not in rush. I
No,
mean,
but it's cool how you guys did, but there's that varying tempo of the songs that really works. And so, um, that's challenge for you or something that you enjoy doing? Or
oh no,
both?
I really love it. Yeah. Yep. So we're all about the riff. I mean, I think that that's where I'll come up with an idea, and that riff is what I present to Justin and Carlin, and then he will, and Justin will somewhat frustratingly always put sort of a spin on that riff that kind of catches it in a different way or something, and so that's uh, I think that that's the difference between a just riff that you would purchase from Fiverr versus or a riff that's in a commercial versus a
Yeah.
riff that a rock star writes is, and not that I'm a rock star, but
No,
just
no,
that
I know what you're saying though. No,
that it you take it from basic to really cool by just moving that whole riff one beat forwards or backwards or half a beat
I
inside of a
appreciate
time signature, and that's like the master of that would be Sour Vein or Electric Wizard. They take like a super simple thing to play and then move it one way or another, and then it has this catchy sort of rhythm to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you
So
guys have that for sure. That's one thing when I first listened to the album, the vocals stood out to me. Um, but as I played through it several more times, man, the music's really good, and it definitely is not. It's never stagnant. It's never repetitive and boring. It's always, you're always like, you could tell that people are thinking about making this music and writing good music, and so that's cool to get your insights on that. So your live show, like, so this is a concept album, and so when I listen to it, I listen from the start to the finish. It tells a story. It flows wonderfully. When you guys play live, how do you choose what you're going to play, or are you just currently playing the album through, or what do you guys do?
The most recent shows were pretty much playing the album. I don't know if we did all of it. We might have pulled out Infinite Inertia or something. We might have pulled one song out, but I think we did kind of keep that flow.
Yeah, cool. Do you think crowd responded to that pretty well? The whole flow of the show. You guys
Yeah.
think you're capturing? Actually, let me ask you about your audience. So, you guys, I talked to the author of the book, Sonic Seducer, last week, and we briefly talked about this scene doesn't seem to be making music for kids. And I think a lot of music is geared towards, let's get a new audience, let's find the young generation, let's bring a new generation up with whatever hip hop or whatever's going on with electronic music now. I noticed that bands in this scene tend to be older, not just generally in their 20s, but 30s and 40s, and even some guys old like me, like Colin Peterson from Shadow of Jupiter in our 50s. Um, do you guys think are you making music for people your own age?
I think so. I mean, it sure seems like that is our market. That's who like responds to it. It's primarily people, 30 to 60, something like that. And that's like kind of who comes to our shows for the most part. There's always exceptions to the rule, but like we'll have a all ages show every once in a while, and you might get a few of the kids, but it's not really their scene right now for whatever reason.
Do you think that affects your relationship with your fans? Do you think you have a like a good like rapport, like you can identify with each other, right? You have things in common.
yeah, I think so. Although a lot of our fans are have children and stuff like that, and we don't have kids, and Justin doesn't have any kids, so
Yeah.
I guess we can't identify with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, we're all people with mortgages and jobs and life, other
Yeah,
kind of
real
stuff
life.
going on, But I I guess we don't intentionally try to make it for our demographic, but I can see how it wouldn't be I mean, if I was 20, I wouldn't have been listening to this probably, so,
Yeah, I get it.
and I
When I was
understand
20,
that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I totally get it. When I was 20, I wanted to just listen to some punk rock, and I wanted to be angry
yeah,
about stuff. And I love that your music has the ability to convey more than one emotion. Like you talked about coming from a punk rock background, where anger is generally the emotion that's being expressed. How
yep.
do you feel like you have more creative freedom to talk about your other emotional states? Who writes the lyrics? I'm sorry.
I do.
Jeremy.
Perfect. Then okay. Then Jeremy,
Yeah.
tell me, do you feel like this is giving you an opportunity to express yourself in more than just a way you might have done in punk rock?
Yeah. And when I was in punk rock, I never was a singer, and they kind of, I'm reluctantly the singer of this band. And so, as far as lyrics go, I guess my goal is for them to just not be dumb. And so,
You're
I
very
just
humble.
try and,
Your lyrics are
yeah,
really good, bud.
I just try and, we spent a lot of time on them, and Justin really helped with lyrics on this album as well. Especially Bugs and Dark Forest.
I
So, the Mind Like Fire Unbound is all my lyrics, and so that song is mostly about Buddhism. And it's kind of, I've got a weird obsession with early Buddhism and all these weird texts from super early Buddhism that I think are really neat. But um,
It was sort of a culmination of like Buddhism, and we were reading some very specific like sci-fi series at the time you were writing those lyrics, and I think that
yeah,
influenced a lot of it as well. So it
yeah,
kind of became this weird mashup.
Fascinating, because I was very interested in the lyrics from the Mind Like Fire Unbound, and I really wanted to talk to you. So thanks for jumping in, man. I was like, I don't even have to ask questions. Perfect. I wondered where that came from, because it was a departure from the rest of the lyrics on the album.
yeah,
The side, so the side, like when I started reading it, I remember reading this book called Hammerfall by Larry Niven, and these guys come and drop all these rocks on the earth, and but the earth fights back. But this story struck me more as maybe it was the humans who were the invaders.
yeah. So you're talking about Bugs,
Yeah,
the first
bugs
song on the
in
album?
particular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
Bugs, like, we just sat down, Justin and me, and I said, let's do this different. I don't want to write all these lyrics, so tell me what should it be about. And so we were just goofing around and thought about like Starship Troopers, obviously. And so I finished the lyrics. We recorded all of it. We finished up that song, and then I was listening to on audio tape or on Audible, the Three Body Problem, which is a show on Netflix actually, and I got to the end of the first book where they say this line. They say, "You are all bugs." They just kind of scan it into their brain, and the song was already done, and the song was called Bugs, and I had no
Amazing.
idea that you know that was going to line
Yeah.
up, or that was going to happen. So whatever. But that I guess the song Dark Forest is really kind of about the three body problem, or a lot of those ideas like cosmic sociology, that whole idea comes from those books, which are awesome and I really recommend. So
Excellent. Thank you. Do you think these lyrics have a deeper meaning, maybe at some level, for you than just the science fiction story? Does it these lyrics relate to any personal things that are happening in your life?
not specifically, but the Mind Like Fire Unbound is very specifically just about everyone's struggles with what does it all mean, and how do you become a better person, and how do you it, uh I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of like, in my opinion, super early Buddhist texts, which are supposed to be the most authentic to the real Buddha, or whatever that all means. Though that those sets of teachings and those stories are very they're brutal. They're very, so the Mind Like Fire Unbound is a Buddhist story, and that's how he described nirvana. That's how he
Okay.
described like just your entire ego, yourself just goes away, and that's kind of the end goal of Buddhism or whatever. And so I just wrote a song about the frustration of wrapping your mind around that idea, and that you don't really exist,
Yeah,
that
that's
you're
awesome.
not, that a personality, that an ego is not a real thing.
I think that's a pretty
You know what I mean?
fascinating. No, actually, I
So
do know what you mean, and I especially think like, we're living in a time like I live in Denver, Colorado, and there's a lot of experimentation with psychedelic drugs and the breakdown of ego, and so I think that's like a really pertinent song to what's going on in our world. I think a lot of us are trying to figure out what's going on. It's kind of crazy times. So no,
sure.
thanks for shedding some light on that. That's fantastic. You guys, just kind of shifting gears, I found out about you guys through the Midwest Doom Coalition. I had the leadership for the Midwest Doom Coalition on like last week. Sorry, I work weird schedule. I don't know what day it is. I think it's like Wednesday or something. So, um, and they're really excited about their idea of pulling bands together. You guys jumped right into that idea. You're like one of the first bands I saw respond to that. Tell me, what appealed to you about the Midwest Doom Coalition?
I guess I can start on that because I am the one that runs like all of our social media and I do most of our booking and stuff.
Okay.
So I let the guys do all the hard work writing the music and then I get to have fun posting pictures and memes.
I know that's hard
That's the
work
easy
too,
part.
actually.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. So yeah, Shane from They Watch Us from the Moon started a group where we were just like all chatting about it in Messenger about like, kind of just spitballing these ideas of like, what would this look like? And I was instantly like, oh, this would be fantastic. It's just a group where we can network with other bands like us in the Midwest and, swap shows and help each other make contacts and um, share resources and help share things on social media too, because that's one of the things that you probably know. You go to all the work to put up a post that you are really excited about, and then you get like 2 likes because the algorithm just buries it.
By the way, thank you for sharing my posts. I
Of course.
absolutely do know what you're talking about, and I'm happy to share yours as well. So, like, I believe in that too. So go on though. Yeah, I know that frustration. So that was obviously pretty attractive to you.
Yeah, immediately I was like, oh, this sounds like something that I would want to be a part of. So talked to the guys a little bit and kept the discussion going with Shane, and now we have some shows in the works with those guys already. So
It's
definitely
fantastic.
going to have some Midwest Doom Coalition shows in the first half of 2025.
Right on. Are there any bands that you guys knew before that have kind of jumped on board with you, or have you met? Are most of these bands new to you guys, or did you have some personal connections?
A ton of them are new, but I think the one that originally helped me make the connection with Shane, because I hadn't met him or knew anything about his band either, was Stony Doom, and they're also from Kansas. So
I
we
am
had,
familiar with those guys. I have a
yeah,
T-shirt. I wore
right.
the T-shirt the other day. They're good dudes.
We had played a show with those guys earlier this year, and so I think when the discussion started up, he made sure we got involved. So it was, huge thanks to Brendan for including us in that. Um, so there were a couple bands that we knew from Kansas, and then a couple in Nebraska have since kind of joined in the group also that we know we're buddies with. So,
That's exciting.
but there's a ton that I had no idea even existed.
Well, same. I've been introduced to a lot of bands through this as well, and then I've been excited to see some bands that I am familiar with, like Shadow of Jupiter in particular, jump in on this too. It's a really exciting idea. You're you guys understand the importance of social media. What other platforms can people find you on besides? I'm mostly Facebook. I used to do the Instagram thing for another thing I did, and so I'm slowly crawling back into Instagram. What other sources do you guys use?
Yeah, I would say Instagram is our primary one. Instagram and Facebook are probably the biggest. I started us on TikTok just this year, just to kind of, dip my toe in and see what the scene's like over there. And so far, it's been pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
It's a little different,
How's it different? I don't have any experience with TikTok,
Well, it's
so
kind of just all reels. You know how on Facebook there are the
yeah.
reels, the videos. It's just all reels, and so it's a lot of like little video clips or like slideshows of photos.
Okay.
It seems like it's a good way to share snippets of live performances and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Do you guys do any do you do anything like this? Are you sharing any kind of interview type stuff or doing personal stuff like, hey, here I am baking a cake in the kitchen or anything?
That's something that we've toyed with, and it's funny that you said baking a cake because I have been wanting to do a Doom baking show. Where like once I get something in the oven, then I have a guest and we just like headbang or something while the cake bakes.
I think that's an amazing idea.
Like Doom and bake.
I'm of the opinion, I remember when I started doing this, I had a conversation with Scott Spires from Clean and Sober Stoner. I did not sound clean or sober there. And he, I wondered if I was like, I didn't want to infringe on anybody's territory,
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he was like, no, we need more people doing this. And honestly, I feel the same way. What other, are you familiar with Scott on Clean and Sober?
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah,
I am. Yep, I've interacted with him quite a bit in the
awesome.
last couple months at least. So
Fantastic. Well, I really love to see more people becoming involved in the social media aspect. And I think it's a really smart thing to do for your band. And I'm finding a lot of bands first because they're doing that. So I appreciate that. Hang on.
I think we've found that a lot of bands don't do it just because they're dudes and they're kind of lazy.
Busy. I mean, when we're all working full-time jobs, sometimes it's hard to make time for social media. It's like I have it in the back of my mind. I'm like, I know I need to do it. I just have to make myself do it.
Yeah. So
I find myself in the same boat a lot of the time. It's like, man, it's like I got a 15-minute break. I got to go make up some reel in my car or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you feel do you feel that you need to be pretty consistently engaged then with social media for your band? Or you guys are really consistent? Do you think that makes a difference?
It definitely makes a huge difference, especially like right now when we put out the album. I've been trying to post a pretty regular interval because it's like the more times people see it, the more likely they are to click it, and it definitely takes like multiple views. So sometimes I feel like I'm pestering people, like I post too often, but it's necessary, and I can tell the difference between when I post like once a day versus once a week.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that's why I clicked, and really quick, I wanted to ask. I'll tell you another reason why I clicked is because of the name of your band.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this prior to the interview, but my immediate thought was, do these guys play Warhammer? Are they involved in like? It sounds like they got some Dungeons and Dragons blood running through their veins. Oh my gosh, I totally took myself off track there. But yeah, where did you guys get your band name? Sorry,
Jeremy, do you want to answer that, or you want me to answer?
So if you've ever heard of Terrence McKenna,
yeah, dude.
I just, I guess not so much anymore, but I used to I just put on one of his lectures and just listen to him.
Brilliant. And
I heard him say it several times, and the way he's such a wordsmith or whatever, but the way that that Trillion Ton Beryllium Ships, just the alliteration, just everything about that little phrase just stuck with me or whatever. So when we were naming the band, we finally just got tired of thinking of ideas and just went with it and said,
well, nothing could be heavier than that.
No, I honestly, it's like Man, it's very striking, the image that it brought to my mind the first time that I saw it. And we talked about, I'm like not from a background of harsh vocals. And so the first time I heard your album, I was like, whoa, whoa. But like the second time I listened, I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like so good because it's like so, you create such an amazing science fiction atmosphere with your music. You guys, is there anything you guys want to plug or talk about before we wrap up?
I guess I'd like to say, if you're in the Denver area, check out John McCrory. Do you know John
Man,
from?
yeah, and I forgot to write that note. You guys had your album mastered in Denver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and John, I think he goes by Bart.
Yeah, Crash Pad, right?
Yeah, the
Yep,
Crash
Crash
Pad
Pad.
Studio. Just he's awesome to work with. So definitely, like we recorded ourselves and then we sent it all to him, and he somehow reorganized it all and made it sound good. So
Sounds amazing.
I'd recommend working with him. He's really good. So
Right on. There's a shout out for Crash Pad. I know they did Cobranoid's album earlier this year. I
Yeah.
believe Deer
Yep.
Creek, another Denver band. So
Yep.
yeah, I was excited when I saw that. So that's a great shout out. Any bands you guys want to plug? I know you could probably plug a million.
We probably
Anybody just
could.
want-
We have a whole bunch of notes, I think, on our Bandcamp page, like basically every band we've ever played with, because like I feel like we gleaned something from all of them, you know.
Right on.
I guess the
Local
only other
bands, check out High Ruler, check out
Yep.
Plaque Bleg.
Oh yeah.
Um,
He prints our t-shirts too. He's
Yep.
rad.
Roz is the best. I'm not sure who should we shout out to.
Well, I was gonna say the only other thing that I would shout at is the artist that helped us with our logo or our album cover artwork. He goes by Hebkid Art on Facebook and Instagram. And he does this really rad style. And we happened to see some of his art that was being shown in a brewery the same night that we had a show. So like we just walked by it and we were like, whoa, wait a minute, we need to talk to you.
That's
So
awesome.
we like commissioned this local artist to come up with the main part of the drawing, and then Jeremy did do a little bit of editing to get it to like fit the album cover just right for us.
It's
But
freaking sweet.
yeah, it's sick, and he needs a shout out for that.
Right on. Awesome. Well, you guys, one final thing. I mean, it's the day before Thanksgiving. I hate to be super cliched, but if you wanted to like tell me something that you're like super thankful for this year, this would be your opportunity to do it live. I think we're live. My girlfriend popped down and she's like, I don't know if you're live. It's like she's like pulling up the phone. So if it's not live, if no one's watching, I'll put it out here in a couple hours, but I think we might be live. So this is your opportunity to give thanks on the old Heavy Underground Farm Report.
Jeremy, you want to go?
Well, I'm thankful for my family. I've got awesome support crew, and of course Garland, she's the best, and Justin's awesome. So yeah, I really feel thankful for all my close relationships here.
Right on. That's awesome.
So
Yeah, I'm thankful that I can be in a band with my husband and we don't kill each other. Actually, it works out great.
Awesome.
Super glad we found Justin on Craigslist. So random.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And like I guess to kind of go full circle, like I talked about earlier, just thankful that I grew up around music so that I could learn how to appreciate it.
Right on. Well, hey, you guys, I am thankful for people like you coming on my show. I'm thankful for you for making the music that you make. It makes my life a better place. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be here today. If there's anything I can do for you guys in Denver, let me know. I hope you guys make a visit here sometime. And then I'll be in touch. Maybe we could do something again in the future, but we'll keep talking about your band. We'll keep talking about the Midwest Doom Coalition.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Cool. I'm going to stop recording, but if you guys could hang on for 1 second, that'd be amazing.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Thank you. All right. I'm going to. Oh, stop. All right. I think I stopped. Okay.
Yeah!